Kentucky trivia number 6. 1775 was the settlement of Boonesboro. Lord Byron, Don Juan, 1823, wrote about Daniel Boone. As a result of lobbying by slaveholders, men of what profession were prohibited from serving as lawmakers under Kentucky's second Constitution? Kentucky's second Constitution, there's a group of people who wanted slavery to end, and in exchange for them lobbying for slavery to end, there is a law that was passed that prohibited them from serving as lawmakers. They were not allowed to become legislators. What were those group of people? The Baptist ministers. So the Baptist ministers were not allowed to serve as lawmakers because they stood up against the horrors of slavery. How many divisions comprise the Bill of Rights attached to Kentucky's first Constitution? How many divisions comprise the Bill of Rights? And how many Bill of Rights were there attached to Kentucky's first Constitution? 27, which is actually one more than the federal Constitution of today. I think there's 29 today. Who became the first governor of Kentucky on June 4th, 1792? The first governor of Kentucky on June 4th, 1792. General Isaac Shelby. General Isaac Shelby. I did actually ask a lot of these questions before. But it's good. Repetition's good, right? Who served as governor of Kentucky from 1804 to 1808? And this is not after Gold War Beckham. That was the 1900s. The 1800s would be right in the beginning. Isaac Shelby was governor, I want to say 92, but I'm not sure. Could have been 76. But he's the third governor. Who's the third governor? Kentucky from 1804 to 1808. It's Christopher Greenup. Christopher Greenup. The second one, there's Isaac Shelby in 1792. So Kentucky became a state. 1792, he's the governor. 1796, James Girard becomes the governor for 8 years. So James Girard is governor for 8 years before Christopher Greenup. So Christopher Greenup. How many Kentuckians served in the military during World War I? 75,043. What's the length of the wooden covered bridge constructed across the Kentucky River south of Nicholasville in 1838? It's 240 feet. At the beginning of the Civil War, approximately how many slaves were there in Kentucky? At the beginning of the Civil War, how many slaves were in Kentucky? 225,000. 225,000. What was the population of Hazard in 1910? What's the population of Hazard in 1910? 537. In 1861, what became the first federal recruiting station to be established south of the Ohio River? In 1861, what became the first federal recruiting station to be established south of the Ohio River? Camp Dick Robinson. Camp Dick Robinson. What noted Kentucky political figure was admitted to the bar of the Quarter Sessions Court at Cynthiana in 1801? What noted Kentucky political figure was admitted to the bar of the Quarter Sessions Court at Cynthiana in 1801? Henry Clay. Who selected the site for Fort Thomas in 1887? Who selected the site for Fort Thomas? 1887. General Philip H. Sheridan. General Philip H. Sheridan. Henry Smith, who served as the provisional governor of Texas in 1824 and 1837 to 38, was born in what Bryantsville Roadhouse? Provisional governor of Texas for 2 years, was born in a Bryantsville roadhouse. Henry Smith was his name. The roadhouse's name was Burnt Tavern. Cynthiana was captured by what Confederate general in both 1864 and 1862? John Hunt Morgan. Erected near Nicholasville in 1782, what is believed to have been the first grist mill in the state? Erected near Nicholasville in 1782, what is believed to have been the first grist mill in the state? Glasses Mill. For what purpose? Glasses Mill was the first grist mill, whatever grist is. For what purpose did Union forces during the Civil War use the original building of the First Baptist Church in Paducah? For what purpose did Union forces during the Civil War use the original building of the First Baptist Church in Paducah? They used it as a hospital. In whose administration did Kentuckian Alvin W. Barkley serve as Vice President of the United States? So Alvin W. Barkley was a Kentuckian who was Vice President under the atomic bomb dropper Harry S. Truman. Organized in 1832, what is Paducah's oldest church congregation? Organized in 1832, what is Paducah's oldest church congregation? It's the Broadway United Methodist Church. It's organized in 1832. And Paducah is named after an Indian. Paducah, I think Chief Paducah. At whose home near Bardstown was the Confederate flag first raised over Kentucky? At whose home near Bardstown was the Confederate flag first raised over Kentucky? Why? Who gives a shit? William E. Johnson. Fuck you, William E. Johnson. During the 1820s, what was the price of a meal complete with whiskey at Bright's Inn near Stanford? So Bright's Inn near Stanford, you could get a complete meal and some whiskey during the 1820s for only 25 cents. The first brick house built in Kentucky, built in 1785. So about 10 years after they started settling, 10 years after Boonesboro was settled, situated between Roland and Broadhead. What structure built around 1785 is the first brick house? The Colonel William Whitley home. The Colonel William Whitley home. What Somerset resident was the governor of Kentucky from 1919 to 1923? So who is the governor in 1919 to 1923? Edwin P. Morrow. On what date was Abraham Lincoln born in Hardin County? On what date was Abraham Lincoln born in Hardin County? It's February 12th, 1809. That's when Abraham Lincoln was born. Modern-day LaRue, Hodgensville. The Hodgensville chieftain. He was for slavery's depletion. He was born in Hardin County, February 12th, 1809. In 1827, what Englishman purchased the Elmwood Hall estate at Ludlow, hoping to establish a utopian city to be called Hygeia? William Bullock. William Bullock. He's an Englishman, purchased Elmwood Hall estate at Ludlow, hoping to establish a utopian city to be called Hygeia. Under whose command did 15,000 Union soldiers construct the defenses which became known as Fort Mitchell? Under whose command did 15,000 Union soldiers construct the defenses which became known as Fort Mitchell? General Lew Wallace. What year was Georgetown College established? What year was Georgetown College established? 1829. What famous Mingo chief was killed during an attack on McClellan Station in Scott County in December 1776? What famous, it was Mohawk chief, not Mingo. He led Mingos. What famous Mohawk chief was killed during an attack on McClellan Station, which is modern-day Georgetown, in Scott County in December 1776? The same Christmas that George Washington is crossing the Delaware River. Chief Pluggy. And what structure was Madison County's first court session held in 1778? What structure is Madison County's first court session held in 1778? It's Colonel John Miller's barn. That's where the first court session in Madison County in 1778 was held. Colonel John Miller's barn. What 1878 college campus was the forerunner of Eastern Kentucky University? What 1878? What 1874 college campus was the forerunner of Eastern Kentucky University? Central University. Who blazed a trail in 1775 that became known as the Wilderness Road? Daniel Boone. What institution of higher learning was founded in Madison County in 1853? Berea College. What landmark did the Battle of Richmond start in 1862? What landmark did the Battle of Richmond start in 1862? Mount Zion Church. Mount Zion Church. How many prisoners were killed or taken captive at the 1784 Defeated Camp Massacre on Little Laurel River? 1784, the Defeated Camp Massacre on Little Laurel River. How many pioneers were killed? 37 out of 40 of them. Only 3 was allowed to escape, and it was a man, a woman, and a child. And the woman had a baby in a tree with the child that lived. So the 3 that lived had a crazy story to them. For what pioneer and Indian fighter was Williamsburg named? Colonel William Whitley. Colonel William Whitley. With the first settlers arriving in 1889, what was the population of Middlesboro by the end of 1890? With the first settlers arriving in 1889, what was the population of Middlesboro by the end of 1890? 10,000. What was the name of Isaac Shelby's home near Junction City? What was the name of Isaac Shelby's home near Junction City? It's called Traveler's Rest. What Farmington native served as U.S. Attorney General under Abraham Lincoln? What Farmington native served as U.S. Attorney General under Abraham Lincoln? James Speed. In 1904, what state historical treasure was stored in the basement of the Poffenhofen Mansion at College Point on Long Island, New York? Abraham Lincoln's birthplace cabin. Was the make and model Paducah's first motorized fire truck? 1913 LaFrance. Constructed in the late 1700s, what Bardstown facility is said to be the oldest in continuous operation west of the Alleghenies? Alleghenies. The Old Talbot Tavern. The Old Talbot Tavern. What former Revolutionary War general was the first lawyer to practice in Glasgow? Alexander E. Spotswood. In 1936, what facility did the Department of Treasury construct at Fort Knox? In 1936. What facility did the Department of Treasury construct at Fort Knox? The Gold Bullion Depository. That's what it's called. The gold's in the Gold Bullion Depository. Not at Fort Knox, but there is a facility at Fort Knox called the Gold Bullion Depository, where supposedly a shitload of gold is put in there, even though Rand and Ron Paul don't believe it. Who became Abraham Lincoln's stepmother in 1819? Who became Abraham Lincoln's stepmother in 1819? Sarah Bush Johnson. Sarah Bush Johnson was Abraham Lincoln's stepmother. Sarah Bush Johnston. What 3 other states besides Kentucky are officially called Commonwealths? What 3 other states besides Kentucky are officially called Commonwealths? How many other Commonwealths in the United States are there besides Kentucky? 3. Name them. Pennsylvania, Virginia, Massachusetts. So Pennsylvania and Virginia were the early traders. The Pennsylvania traders were fighting with the Virginia traders. And then there was Massachusetts, which my history teacher used to call Massachusetts. Maybe just to get us to remember it. I don't know. So Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, and Virginia are also called commonwealths.